Well, hello everybody. I played all of Hytale. Well, almost all of Hytale. I have not collected all the memories. I do not know if they're all in the game already, but that's like the only thing I haven't fully completed yet. Apart from that, I've had all the endgame loot. I've pretty much explored all there is to explore, I think. So I thought I'd share some of my opinions, the goods, the bads, the uglies, and if the game's worth it or not. Now, it goes without saying that the game is within a very early access game. There's definitely times where it feels more like a demo than it does an early access game, but there's an argument to be made for both. A lot of features are very barren and bare bones. A lot of it's a work in progress, but then on the other hand, there's a lot to do already, or a lot to see already. And it's not a limited playtime, right? You can play it for as long as you want. On top of that, my playthrough was completely without mods. The game is very easy to mod and has already a great modding community for as far as I can tell. So playing the game with mods might make your experience different or a lot better. But this is just purely the base game for what it is right now. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed. Like and subscribe if you do. This video took a very long time to make. And without further ado, let's get into it. Now, my first little thing I want to say, and I feel like I have to say, is when starting a world, you can go to world settings and set it to partial drop items, no drop of items, and drop all items. I would recommend keeping it to the default, which is partial drop of items, which still gives you a little bit of punishment when you die for people who like that, but not too harsh. I played with drop all items for this playthrough, and let me tell you, it is not fun. The respawn rate on the despawn rate on items is very unclear to me as to when I've lost items twice when I just beelined it back to my stuff. I didn't get distracted, but from the moment it doesn't require rendering, I think. It's just 5 minutes, which in a lot of cases, if you're far away exploring, you're not going to be able to make that. So yes, do partial drop, because the other punishment is that your items will lose about 15% durability if you die. So I would recommend keeping it on that. And to keep it in the realm of dying, do not die in the ocean. If you die in the ocean, you're most definitely not going to get your stuff back, because the ocean's deep and you have no way of getting to the bottom and back up without drowning. Now, I wanted to start off with my first little section, which is the exploration. Let me start off. First of everything is the stamina. For exploration reasons and running, I do not like the stamina at all. I get it for combat, but I do not get it for exploring. It is a drain. The world is very big, very fast, and the stamina drains too fast, and there's no way of upgrading it or increasing it. It just sucks. You're just slowed down so much because of it. And to top it off, there is no form of transport in the game. There's no boats, so you're just stuck swimming very slow. There is no animals to ride on. You can ride on a horse, sure, but you can't pacify the horse. It will run away from you, and if you press F at the right time, you can get on. There's no taming requirement for it. You can just ride it, but as soon as you jump off again, the horse will run away again, which, to me, is not great. But I get it. That's probably something that will be fixed in the future, so I'll give him that. There is, however, a lot to explore. There's a lot of different biomes, both above ground, underground. There's little side portals that you could jump through, which are very nice as well for a little extra exploration. Long story short, I feel like you never run out of things to explore. And that's already in the beta. That's when the things are not even like fully developed yet. So that's a very good sign. As someone who likes exploring in games and think that, for example, in Minecraft, that's the one thing it's missing, is the need to explore. This is already great for early access. Another very nice thing I like is the ability to jump 2 blocks high or climb up onto blocks. It makes traversing the ground so much easier. It makes getting away from enemies a lot easier. It's just overall, it feels really nice. Now, As much as there's to explore, the things you do explore right as of right now feel very barren. The structures are, there's not a lot to them. The loot in them is not very good. There is no like big boss at the end of a dungeon, for example. It's just a big empty room, as you'll see right here. But I'm sure that also will be updated. Now, and also there is already, like I said before, a big modding community. So I'm sure that there's a lot of things that will be added to the game faster than maybe some of the official developers will add it. What I will say though, sometimes you can find loot that is not craftable. So you have an enemy that has a weapon that you cannot make yourself, but it has a chance to drop it, or you can find it in a chest. Those kind of items are really nice, I will say. The world is procedurally generated, which means that dungeons spawn at random, which also means that you can find certain dungeons multiple times. I have an ice biome nearby that has the same dungeon within like a couple hundred blocks from the other. And what I noticed is that not only does the dungeon is the exact same dungeon, it also has the exact same layout. I don't know if this is across the world, that every dungeon of the same type has the same layout. And I get, if that's the case, like I get that randomly generated dungeons might get messy. But even with pre-generated dungeons, they still get messy. I still had doors that led to walls or like caves generating through the structure. I just don't like that the structure is the exact same. Like I explored one dungeon and then when I went to the second one, I literally knew where to go right away. It's more fun if you just have random exploration even within the dungeons, I would say. During your playthrough, you collect a lot of memories like we saw at the start of this video. And I think you can view the memories you've collected but not turned in yet right here. However, I think there should be a way for us to view what memories we've turned in yet, even when not at the portal. The only way right now to see all the memories you've turned in is to go back to the statue. But it'd be nice to just see what I still need to look out for, even on the go. The game has a lot of water, very deep water, and a lot of water creatures as well. However, there's no way to explore underwater as of right now. I'm sure it will come eventually, but as of right now, the water is very boring, very slow, and there's no way to explore underwater. However, like I said before, there is always more to see somehow. Like, I think I've seen it all, but I'm also not sure I've seen it all. Like, yesterday I thought I'd seen it all, and then all of a sudden I bumped into this new biome that apparently had already generated for me, so the spawns were there, but that's what now hosts dinosaurs. I didn't even know this biome existed. It had generated already, but I just wasn't there because it was underground. So I looked for it even further. It got the same biome later on with dinosaurs in it. But yeah, like I said, it feels like there's always more to see. When it comes to the next section is the building and the crafting. When it comes to building, there's a lot of options in the game. There's a lot of different kinds of wood, which do not all make different kinds of wood planks, but they have hardwood planks, goldwood planks, that kind of stuff. And then there's wood blocks that fall within those subgroups, basically. For crafting within your base, your crafting benches will pull from nearby chests. However, I do feel like it is sometimes a little inconsistent to where it pulls from a certain chest for one item but doesn't pull from the same chest for another item. I do know that they've increased the range for with the last update, so maybe that has fixed it. But since I have so many items right now, I have no reliable way of saying that it 100% works or it doesn't. But I just wanted to, you know, have that out there to make sure that it could be a little bit inconsistent sometimes, which once again is understandable. It's a game in very early access, so we'll give it some grace. A little side note I wanted to add here, by the way. In chest, you can auto-stack items, which will pull from your inventory all the items that you have in the chest and stack them on top of the chest. It will also, if a stack is full, still pull and make a new stack if there is space for that. You have an auto sort feature, and you just have a put all or transfer all button. So from the chest to your inventory and vice versa, which I think are great features. Now my next little thing for building is slabs. Slabs placed on the floor are just like you expect. However, you cannot place a slab on top of another slab. It will create that gap in between. So you have to put a slab and then a full block behind it, for example. You cannot just create with slabs. And if you place a slab on a wall, it will go vertical. I know, vertical slabs, how amazing. We can, however, also rotate if you hold R. The game doesn't tell you this, by the way, but if you press R, it will rotate the block for you. And you can, with that regard, place it anywhere. Even vertical, horizontal, doesn't matter. However, slabs are pretty inconsistent when it comes to rotation of things. Sometimes pattern will be horizontal, sometimes it will be vertical. So keep that in mind. I do think a better solution would be have vertical and horizontal slabs be different crafting things in the building thing instead of having them be the same thing. But I'm not a game developer. I don't know if that's more difficult or if this is just a better solution for it. I just think that would have been a better solution. My last little gripe is items that have no function. I have a lot of shards that I've collected over the time. And for as far as I'm aware, they have no function in the game. Like, there's nothing I can craft with them. There's nothing I can do with them. They're just there. Like, I keep them because I feel like at some point they're going to have some form of importance. But right now, they don't do anything. And then the second little gripe on that is having items in your crafting bench that you cannot craft. Because the mithril helm, for example, or like any mithril item, you cannot craft. There is no mithril in the game right now. And there is no storm leather in the game as of now. So you can't create these items yet. The items are in the game, just not obtainable. Editing me here. This also makes it so that when the game does finally release these items, they can no longer spawn in chunks that are already loaded. Which means you're going to either need to start a new world or have to go very far out of your way to finally get these items. What I do like, and I like that a lot, is the amount of options you have. If you put a piece of wood into a builder's workbench, you have so many different options for stairs, slabs, roofing types, fences, windows. It doesn't matter. There's just so much to do when it comes to building, which I absolutely love. The other thing I really love is the amount of workbenches. You have to build a different workbench for all the things, and you have to upgrade the workbench to even upgrade or to get more item or to get access to better items, which goes into the exploration part as well. You can get endgame ores really easily right out of the gate. However, you still need the early game stuff anyway because you need to upgrade your workbench to start off with. One more thing that I think needs to improve, which they've already improved slightly with the latest update, but needs to be even better, is hide. You need a lot of heavy hide for things, and it is not very easy to come by. There's only one or two animals that like drop it that you can consistently find, which is a bear and like this bison type of creature. Then in the cold biome it's a polar bear, but that's it. I think there need to be more animals that drop heavy hide, like a moose should drop heavy hide, in my opinion. I think crocodiles drop heavy hide too. However, I've not been able to find a crocodile in the wild yet that isn't in like a pocket dimension. So I think things like that need to really improve. Talking about the pocket dimensions, there's 3 of them. One will take you to like this void kind of area with a giant tree. There's not much to see there, a little bit of loot. And after 7 minutes, the void creatures will spawn and you need to survive for 3 minutes, which makes it very easy to get overwhelmed. However, dying there has no consequences. You won't lose any stuff, just 15% durability on your items. The other 2 pocket dimensions are very friendly. There's another small one that is like a hole within a giant desert. That is also desert, then leads into a void. However, there could be a wizard tower in that dimension, but it's very rare. I only encountered it once, and I went to the dimension like 5 times. And when I encountered it, I got knocked off and died, so I didn't even get to properly see what the wizard tower actually holds. In the last dimension, It is like, it's an unlimited world like normal, but you only have 7 minutes to explore it before you get teleported back as well. And all you can find right there is a sleeping dragon on top of a mountain. Apart from that, there's not much to see in that world, for as far as I'm aware, at least. So if you found something in those worlds that's worth exploring, please let me know. But for us right now, they're not that worth it. There's not that much to do, and you only have a time limit to stay in those worlds as well, which is something I'm not a big fan of, I'm not gonna lie. For next subject, it's combat. The combat feels really nice. Little side note though, fuck these fucking rhino frogs. They're awful. They'll just slingshot you all around, and there's no way to escape them, and they do a whole lot of damage too. So if there's more than one, just run. If you can outrun them, because the stamina doesn't allow you to outrun them sometimes. But my god, just don't even bother. Another gripe is that the charge goes away when you swap out your weapon. Like, I get it, I guess. The problem is that sometimes you need to eat in between fighting, and then the charge of your sword or your bow and arrow just goes away, and then you need to recharge the whole thing, which makes using the ability on Q very limited use. Another thing I find like a problem, I guess, is that as of right now within the game, I feel very weak. Even with endgame loot, I feel so weak. I've still died quite a bit. As I'm a player that likes to get to endgame and try to become as overpowered as possible, right? And especially with a game like this, where you make the world, one of the fun things in Minecraft is just getting overpowered and making the survival world into what's almost feels like creative, with still the risk of losing your world, which is why I like hardcore, for example, a lot, right? You make it as close to creative without it actually being creative. You're overpowered, you're strong, but you still can die if you really mess up. This game, it's very easy to die, even if you are endgame. If you have the best loot in the world, things still hurt like crazy. And you do not, like, kill things very fast. Like, early game skeletons should just die with one shot. And of course, it also depends on what weapon you use. But they all have their ups and downs. The daggers are very slow, or are very fast, sorry, but very weak. The sword is a good medium. The mace or the hammers are very strong but very slow. So it all has their ups and downs. I just wish there was a way to get a little bit more powerful within the game. Last thing about combat is that I feel like the enemy spawning is really weird. Sometimes I kill an enemy, and right as I kill the enemy, a new one spawns. Or the enemy just despawns in the middle of a fight. Or I walk past something and then I turn around and all of a sudden there's something behind me. So it just spawns. There's no spawn radius around you. It will just spawn on you, kind of thing. So that needs some fixing. I think we should be able to, you know, spawn-proof things and not have animals or creatures spawn within, like, 15 blocks of us, for example. Next, I'd like to talk about the gameplay itself. The controls are very nice. However, for example, in Minecraft as well, you have this automatic up one block feature where you just walk up a block automatically. It doesn't feel good in this game. It doesn't feel good in Minecraft to me either, and I always have it turned off. However, if you ride a horse in this game and you have it turned off, you will just walk into the blocks. You will not walk up one block. So I am required to have it on for a horse to work properly, which is very annoying to me. The gathering feels very nice. You can't do anything on the back of a horse. You just get off and then the horse will run away. But apart from that, like, gathering feels very nice. There's a lot of items to gather. Wood is not just logs, it's also sticks. Sticks cannot be crafted, so you need to find those separately or loot them separately from breaking trees and stuff like that. There's so much to get for crafting. And then the last thing I'd like to say, which I think could do some different, is all the food does the same. It's all health, regen, and stamina boost, except from the meat skewer, who it's health, regen, and health boost. I think there could be some more variety in what the food does. That way it's worth it to bring different kinds of food. Right now, the meat skewer is kind of the only thing I use, because I noticed that I complained about the stamina, but like the stamina boost doesn't do that much anyway. Like, once again, maybe in combat it's fine, but like for exploring, it's just not great. To go back to combat a little bit, I forgot to say this, blocking. You can block, you can build shields, however, your sword will block just the same. You don't need a shield for as far as I'm aware. You can block with your sword, and it will just block all damage anyway. With that being said, I think I've like kind of gone over everything right now. If I missed something, let me know down below. If you disagree with something or you'd like to add something, also let me know in the comments down below. And with that being said, I hope to see y'all in the next episode. Bye.